And what I think is so special about these three people is that they're all doing something different. They've all chosen a completely different remote work path, but they all have things in common too. And what I'd like for you to do when you watch these interviews is look for the commonalities, because I think the commonalities that you find in these folks are some of the same things that you're going to find in yourself. So at the very end, I'll come back and ask you what you saw were common in all of these folks, and I'll share with you some of my takeaways. So to get started, let's kick it off with Kelley Sexton. Well, joining me today is a special guest, Kelley Sexton. I know I say everyone here is a special guest, but I just feel very honored that people are willing to jump on calls with me and share their experience about remote work and their experience with you about the remote work or remote business journey. And Kelley has a special place in my heart because she came into remote work school about a year ago, actually. And we hadn't met before. I didn't know who she was. And she just came out of the gate fired up and ready to go on this remote work journey. And it was such a pleasure working with her. And so I reached back out to her to catch up and see where she's at today. And so welcome, Kelley. Thank you for being with me today.
Oh, this is so much fun, Camille. I am so pleased to be here and to help you out because it helps me also.
Oh, I love that. I love the whole mutual helping vibe that we always seem to have. Well, Kelley, I see that you're in an RV, or it looks like a really beautiful kitchen, but my hunch is it's an RV. Is that true?
Yes, I'm in my fifth wheel in Half Moon Bay, California.
Oh, I love Half Moon Bay. That's so beautiful. And tell me how long you've actually been in your RV. I think it's been a while now, right?
It'll be coming up a year next month. I'm on my one year anniversary very soon.
It. Well, yeah. Congratulations. And it looks so beautiful. Like I wouldn't normally know that's an RV just by looking. I just know that you are in an RV. So, but it looks like a kitchen with an island, and you got some flowers.
Absolutely. In fact, I have a girlfriend who came to visit me, I don't know, a couple months ago, and she's got $1 million condo that she bought in about 10 miles away from me. And she came in and had never been in an RV ever before. And she walked in my kitchen and she went, "Dang, woman." She goes, "Your kitchen's bigger than mine." And it really is. She goes, "I love this. When people say trailer, This is not what I think."
Awesome. I love that. That's great. Well, congratulations again. Let's go back from when I first met you. You were working in a traditional job. I think you were living in a traditional location-based home, and everything has changed since then. So let's go back then. What inspired you, or what led you to decide, I want to do this whole remote thing and I want to just live life differently? Can you take me back to that point?
Sure. I actually met a girlfriend a year ago, February, and she was living in her Class A motorhome in an RV park. And she was a nurse working full time and about my age. And I thought, wow, okay, now that's interesting. And literally she could drive wherever she wanted to drive. And I'm like, okay, that could be a lot of fun. And I was living in a traditional apartment that I shared with my daughter while she was getting on her feet. And prices here in the Bay Area are beyond nuts. Mm-hmm. Just for point of reference, a 1-bedroom apartment currently rents for $4,600 a month.
Wow.
Yes. And so when my daughter moved out, I was like, there is absolutely I've never even paid that much money for a home on a mortgage, let alone an apartment that I get nothing from. So I talked to my girlfriend and she told me what she was paying for her motorhome and what she was paying for space rent. And I'm like, ka-ching, okay, that's possible. But I was like, I don't know, how to do that and how to be able to come up with money. And so I was like, well, okay, there's got to be other things out there, other ways other than traditional jobs. And so I just happened to start following people on Facebook and YouTube and got on some e-newsletters and ended up following Liz Wilcox, who then was promoting you for remote work. And I thought, wow, there's a way to pay for my motorhome or my trailer, and I could still have the lifestyle that I wanted. So I did. I checked the box and I signed up for your remote course. And I was like, I love this. I can do this anytime, any place, anywhere. And so I jumped in with both feet because that was the way that I could finance my next season and my next dream.
I love it. You're so inspiring. Every time I talk to you and you take me back to that story, I get inspired all over again. Now, what I remember about you is you were just so gung-ho and motivated. And I think you were one of the first people in the group last year to find just a super random remote job. I remember, I think it was like you ordered dinner for someone. Tell me more about that, because I remember being so surprised by that story.
Well, and it's fun that you bring that up because I'm actually going back to that now. My daughter said, Mom, now that you've got your remote, resume done, test the waters, do something, little, don't do anything big. And so she, you had promoted Upwork, and so she promoted Upwork with me. So I created a profile and I was like, oh, I have no idea what I'm doing. And so I went and I found this one listing of a guy that was in New York City at the time, and he wanted to come to San Francisco, and he wanted to impress his friends, and he wanted to go out to dinner three nights in a row, and he wanted to go to different places. And so I just said, okay, I could do that. I could, Google and look up, and I'm close enough to San Francisco and I know the city. So I wrote back to him a couple of times and, said, what's your budget? And, do you have a dining preference, and what dates do you want to go? And literally back and forth, within 20 minutes time, I'm sitting eating dinner, watching television on my computer, and I sent him 3 links. He loved it. He immediately said, done. And I got paid $25 for finding 3 restaurants that he could take his buddies to, and got a wonderful rating on Upwork.
Love it.
All for 20 minutes worth of work. And I'm like, that's a no-brainer. I was like, I can do this anytime.
I love that. I love how you stumble on some random things that, we traditional work people would never think of as, wow, that's a way to actually generate income. And I realized that, that was one of your first jobs, and that's not going to pay the bills, right? Ordering, dinner randomly for someone here and there isn't going to be your end all be all income. But what did it feel like to actually get that first little, like you say, take little steps? What did it feel like to get that first small gig?
Oh, it gave me tremendous confidence. I know it was like, wow, I can do this. I'm not intimidated by doing that. I now have choices, which then led me to get 2 more gigs, which I can honestly tell you right now, I have been doing both of them for over a year. They both want me to continue, and they both want me to do more work.
Wow. I didn't even know that you were still doing those. Congratulations.
Yep.
That's so fantastic. I love that. Tell me how you were able to go from that very first random, I'm going to order dinner for some guy, into how did you then move into getting these more long-term opportunities?
Literally, again, I took the information out of your course, and I started looking for places that were out of the ordinary and not places that the traditional work folks were looking. And so literally both of the 2 things that I'm still currently doing, I found both of them on Craigslist. And one was a contractor position, and one actually is an employee position. And I applied for both using the resume that you taught us all how to do and that you reviewed. And I listed I listed both of them when I was doing my search as virtual positions. So then I got the list much smaller of those that I was looking for. And then I went through the regular process. And on the first one, I didn't get it the first time. because I was uncomfortable answering the virtual questions for interviews because I had no experience, or I thought I had no experience in terms of being a virtual assistant. And so I actually didn't get chosen. But I put it out there that I told the gentleman that I was very interested in what they were doing. And if something didn't work out, please reach out to me. I would love to revisit it with him. And then I went and applied for the second position, which I did get. And then the first guy came back to me and said, the other person didn't work out. Are you still interested? And I'm like, heck yeah. So basically between both of those side jobs, they pay my space rent here at the RV park. Wow. So I literally don't have any, I don't have any lease payments because both of those come from my side jobs.
I love that. You took so much initiative. What I can hear in that story is how you were still keeping track, showing your interest. You didn't just take the no and walk away and throw your hands up and say, oh, well. You were like, okay, let me know. And when they got back to you, you're immediately interested. You've always had so much initiative, I feel like, even just inside of remote work school and with your jobs, and even now, because I know now you're in a new phase of your journey, and not maybe the best pleasant phase, but I think you're way more equipped for this phase, actually. And through all of that, I think you always take so much initiative, and you're always, you have a very positive attitude, I notice, in any of these situations. So tell us where you're at today in terms of your remote work journey. I heard that some things have changed with your employment, and you're kind of embarking on a new phase. So do you want to tell me more about that?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. During that whole time that I was doing what I was doing, I did have a full-time paying, what I would call regular job, which had all the bennies and whistles and everything that went with it. And through no fault of my own, we had a change of management. And so I was basically asked to step down. And that was a week ago.
Wow.
And that was tough. That you wouldn't, if you had been talking to me a week ago, you would not see the positive face that you're seeing today.
Yeah.
But as I was walking this morning, I was so grateful for what you had taught me and what I learned through your course, because I have the peace of mind of knowing I've got my rent paid for. I'm not scrambling. I literally this morning went and updated my LinkedIn profile. I've got on my to-do list down here below my computer that I'm going back to Upwork, and I'm going to reactivate my Upwork profile. And I've done some other searching and found some other sources of out of the box types of places I can go and positions. And so now I've got choices, which I didn't ever felt like I had before, because I always felt in that box of traditional work. But you and your course and the people that you've introduced me to have given me the opportunity to really realize that I'm not limited. And even at my age and my season in life, I'm not done. I get to try new things and meet new people and go new places. And so I'm most excited for that. And even in the year of COVID, it's like, you know what? There is so much out there. You got to be willing to accept it and open your eyes and embrace it.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, as if we don't have enough, we've got COVID on top of everything. Yeah, I hear that. Well, and it's understandable that a week ago you maybe didn't have quite the positive vibe that you have today, but that's just normal. I mean, geez, anybody losing any kind of job, I've lost jobs. I mean, it's just very, it's challenging. And so I'm sure that many, many people will relate, especially right now. I mean, this is happening all over the place, COVID and other reasons. So, well, I really appreciate having you here today and you sharing your story. I cannot wait to see what you do next, because you always do really cool stuff. And I know that you will find something probably very, very soon. So I do want to hear about that. And with that, Kelley, is there anything else you want to share with us before we sign off today?
I do. Thank you so much for asking. I would just want to tell people that are listening and watching that the world has changed, and you need to embrace the digital nomad, location neutral, whatever you want to call it, because we're going to be in this for a really long time, and there are a lot of people who are thinking my job is gone. But that doesn't mean that there's not something better out there. You just have to be willing to try something new and look, as I said, outside of the box, because the possibilities are going to just be absolutely phenomenal. And more are going to be opening up as more and more companies, particularly like here in the Bay Area, Google is having everybody work from home. Facebook is working from home. Twitter is working from home. Slack, Pinterest, all of those are telling all of their workers, you don't need to come back in the office ever.
Mm.
So that's just, you have, I say it's an oyster, look for the pearl because it's out there, and enjoy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Kelley, two things. One, I couldn't have said it better myself. And two, the fact that you just rattled off a whole bunch of social media and networking platforms is very impressive, including Slack. It was really funny. Thanks again so much. We will catch up with you in the future. Thanks again, Kelley. Take care. Now, before we hear from our next guest, Tim, I have to tell you that when I started interviewing Tim, it was really this casual setting. I just wanted to meet with him and hear about his story. I was no way prepared to do an actual recorded interview. But we started talking about such great stuff that I went ahead and turned on the camera. So in this interview, you're going to see some very raw and behind the scene footage of what it looks like when I'm just hanging out, talking to people. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this interview, and more importantly, you get to hear how cool Tim's journey is as he moves into remote work. Just because if I want to reference it. Okay, so right, that's what I remember, that you work. I remember last year, you when you came into remote work school, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months after that, you got this, I think it's the same job, and it was about 50% remote, in the office, in the home, which you like because you like the interaction with people, is what I really remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like, being part of a team. I like having, that interaction. And then these days it's mostly either on Skype or Zoom that we seem to be doing that interaction. Everybody's has individual feelings about this whole thing, about in terms of how comfortable they are being around other people. What we've done in healthcare is we just make sure that we enforce social distancing as well as masking in any type of face-to-face meeting. So, the most people that I've ever had in a course is probably about 10 or 11. That was the maximum. And then we were in a huge room when we were doing it, so we could be spaced apart. But we still wanted to allow for small group work and that sort of thing as well.
So that's interesting. You're still delivering some in-person training, it sounds like.
Just recently, recently. We haven't for about 3 months, from about mid-March to like the end or middle of June, we didn't do anything. So we've just started to kind of experiment with live in-person training. And it seems to be going well so far. It's being received well. I mean, there's still some people that are not comfortable with it yet. I understand that. But for the most part, we're trying to do a mix of delivery methods.
And I bet you like that, because what I remember about you, because we've worked together, is you really have fun and enjoy the in-classroom, in-person experience. Like, that's your jam, I remember.
Yeah, it is. I just finished doing one yesterday with a group of physicians, and it was on just sort of a mini mini course on presentation skills, facilitation skills,
nice,
and appreciative inquiry.
Oh, I
And
love
so,
appreciative inquiry.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So I was working with them, but it was all experiential. It wasn't me sitting up there lecturing, because I could have done that over Zoom, you know.
Exactly.
It was more
Interesting.
them working together,
Yeah.
and kind of brainstorming ideas and what
Okay.
works, what doesn't work, that sort of thing.
That is so cool. So to walk me back a little bit, when you came into the remote work program, what I remember is that you were interested in more, not necessarily going remote 100%. I think what I remember is you were interested in a more flexible arrangement that aligned with a lifestyle that you wanted. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
At the time I came into the program, I was working up in Canada, in Ottawa, and I was working for sort of a retail company that I wasn't really energized by sort of their mission and vision and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I was looking for other opportunities.
Okay.
And that's why I joined the class, because I wanted to learn more about it before I jumped in.
Got it. Okay.
To get some tips and ideas from people who had been there before and done it.
Yeah, I love it. I loved having you there. I felt very honored, by the way, side note, just because you and I worked together, and I remember you were a manager. I don't think I reported to you, but I really remember respecting you and really enjoying your style and your training. So when you came into the course, I was a little intimidated. I was like, Tim's here. Oh no. But it worked out great. It worked out great.
No, I never stop learning. You know,
I love that.
I mean, I'm 62 years old now, so I feel that if I'm going to be engaged in this process with others, I need to practice practice what I preach, type of thing.
I love that. See, I love that mindset. I feel like when people like you come in the program, it's such a great it's like a really great alignment, because I'm like you. I'm like, I'll absorb anything like a sponge. I always want to learn and from anybody really who's an expert or has knowledge. And so when some people like you come in, it's such a great experience, because I learn too, and others are so open. So I love that. I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but do you recall anything specific about the program or the experience that you felt might have helped you more, tipped the scales more for you, anything like that?
Definitely. I think the piece I found very valuable and helpful to kind of get me started was around customizing my resume for the specific opportunity that I was trying to get.
Cool.
And to customize it around my skill sets, so that I didn't necessarily just have to have one resume that I'm sending out, that I tweak it to meet with the opportunity that's there. And it's more work, but I think the payoff is great, because I'm able to show the employer or whoever it is that I have what they need, and it's a good fit, and it gets my foot in the door. If I didn't have that, I'm just kind of another piece of paper, and it's just kind of tossed off. So
that is so fantastic. I love that. I do remember, I think we created like 2 to 3 different resumes, and it's not like we radically changed them from one to the next. It's like we kind of built an 80, I'm going to say roughly 70 to 80%, and then we kind of modified the summary and then a few key tasks, right, to align with the job.
Exactly.
That's great. And what is your title now?
I'm an organization development specialist.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's similar to what you were before, right?
Yeah, I've had that sort of job before. I don't, I'm not supervising or managing anybody as I have done in the past. That's fine with me. I just like working with other adults.
I think you and I might feel the same about management.
Yeah. Well, management is more administrative.
Right. Yeah.
It
Sounds
is,
so glamorous, doesn't it? Managing people. It's not glamorous.
Leadership, I think, for me, I mean, it can be practiced anywhere at any level in the organization.
Yeah.
But the opportunities for it are greater, the higher up you go. When you get into sort of more of the executive ranks, then you can have influence over a larger number of people.
Yeah.
In terms of practicing some of the key competency areas that we talk about in our training.
Yeah. That's so great. It sounds like you found a really good fit. Are you still enjoying it?
Yeah, absolutely. I love it here. It's a great culture also.
Yeah.
Kind of unique because they practice, you've heard of lean manufacturing.
I do lean. I train lean.
They adapted it to healthcare.
Really?
And they teach other people how to do that as well. So,
oh my gosh.
Kaizen, and I'm just going through my certification to be certified in that. So
you're getting a Kaizen certification?
Yeah.
I love it. So my last job before I left corporate and went remote and did the whole RV thing and online business, I was a lean continuous improvement consultant internally in my own business. Yeah, I was in like a 2-year internship. And now what I've done is I've adapted all my lean training and all my ADDI training, because you and I have that background, to create a new online business program that I will be launching, in a couple weeks. So I did not know that about you, that you're doing lean and Kaizen. I love Kaizen. I think it's such a cool method. Yeah,
it's great. I mean, I've been through something similar in my past careers, when it used to be called Total Quality Management. TQM.
I remember that. Yeah.
And so now, it's more evolved into lean, and I think it's more consumable by North American businesses. I think.
Very cool. The last interview you're going to hear from today is Penny. Now, I reached out to Penny because I actually hired Penny for a small job when she was just getting started in her copy editing business. And what I learned during that interview is that she's leaned all the way in to starting her own business. I didn't even know that. That's why it's so cool when I get back in touch with some of the folks who go through remote work school, because their journey changes. And I see this a lot, where some people start with a typical remote job where they're working for somebody else, and then maybe they dabble in freelancing. And then finally, many folks go all in on starting their own remote business. So that's what you're going to hear about today from Penny. Well, hello there. I have today a special guest. Her name is Penny, and Penny is joining me today and taking time out of her day to talk a little bit about her experience with remote work and remote work school. And we're going to hear her story. I love her story, actually, because I met you at an RV convergence in Savannah, Georgia. I believe you and Will were kind of checking out the lifestyle and thinking about doing this whole RV thing. And we just struck up a great conversation. And I remember it stuck out to me because I remember just having a really great time meeting you and learning about you both. And then later you joined Remote Work School. And so what I want to do is just hear more about your story, because I know that you worked in a traditional, location-based job. And then you've been on this journey to find remote work. And so I'd just love to hear about, what do you do in your traditional job, and what's kind of I'll save the second part of the question till later. Tell us what you do now in your traditional work.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I do remember meeting you that first time at that convergence, and we had a cool conversation, and my husband and I are not yet on the road, but we're going to be someday. We're still not yet, but we're going to be someday. And I was asking you, or telling you, what I was thinking about doing for remote work, and it's not what I do or did at the time, but I mentioned the possibility of doing copy editing as a remote job, and you were so encouraging, and your encouragement is really what boosted my momentum to get going and looking into that. What I did full time and still doing it full time now actually is HR management for an international logistics company. It's headquartered in Savannah, Georgia. And a large part of that is policy writing and editing writing for the company. So I already sort of do that, and that's what I do now. Yeah.
Okay. And so you're still working full time in a location?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Wow. Now I'm glad you reminded me of the conversation, because you're right. I remember you saying you were in HR, and we had that in connection because I come from the world of HR too. But what I am now remembering is that you were a policy writer. And that's why I think that's why we talked about you having transferable skills and being able to take those into some sort of copy editing remote job. Yes? Am I remembering that right? Yeah. Okay, cool. So tell me what appealed to you about taking your skills and turning them into a copy editing type role. What appealed to you about that?
Well, I just really enjoy it. A lot of people maybe don't enjoy the writing part of it, but I enjoy taking the writing and looking at it and helping other people make their writing better if I can. And I know I need something that I can do from anywhere. And I think I can do that from anywhere. So that was what was really appealing to me.
Nice. And then since and that was, gosh, at least a year and some months ago that we talked, you came into remote work school. I do remember that shortly thereafter. So I felt really honored to have you after meeting you in person and then talking. And then I remember being very surprised. I was like, oh, wow, Penny just joined. That's so cool. And, you started working on these copy editing skills, right? You started really kind of changing your resume and even you went back and did some more training, right?
I did. I got a certification from ACES, the Society for Editing, and it's an organization in the United States for editors. Got a certificate there and did a little bit of editing for you and another RV community person, and then did the remote work school, which was very informative. My favorite part of that was by far the segment on the LinkedIn study, which was quite lengthy and so helpful. It was so helpful how to go about reviewing your own LinkedIn profile so that you can make yourself more visible there as far as whatever skills you're trying to represent yourself and put forward. It was very helpful. I've redesigned my entire LinkedIn page based on that, which was a bit of a challenge because I am the HR manager for the company that I still currently work for. So my LinkedIn page is a bit of a blend of both. My copy editing and my HR profession.
Okay. Well, that's really good to hear, because I know that some people, first of all, I love that you went all in on LinkedIn. I think that a lot of people that are headed into the remote work world or even doing freelance, they forget or I did at least, how critical LinkedIn can be, especially when you've been working at a job for so long. You're like, I don't need to keep that up because I have a job, right? But here you are trying to create a new path, and that became a really critical piece of your big puzzle, it sounds like.
Yes.
Yeah.
It did.
And then trying to walk the line between, okay, well, this is what I currently do, but this is what I want to do. I'm trying to blend them together, right? Yeah. So, but you came up with something. It sounds like you figured that out. So kudos to you. And what are you working on now? Are you really trying to go full time into the remote copy editing? Tell me more about what you're working on now.
I am. I plan on doing it gradually. I want to start on a part-time basis, the copy editing. I've done a lot in the past year. I completed another year-long certificate from the University of California in San Diego in copy editing.
Yeah.
And I have formed my own LLC company, and I've just finished my own website, designed it myself, having never done that before. So I'm pretty proud of it.
Wow.
So I'm getting ready to announce that. And I will be doing copy editing work on a part-time basis, maybe for the next 6 months to a year. And after that, I plan to do it full-time and leave my corporate job.
On top of leaving your corporate job, you said.
Yes.
When you
eventually
get to that point. Wow. I'm really impressed that you are doing all of those things, that you formed an LLC. That's big time. That you're moving beyond, the type of remote work where you're working for somebody else. I didn't realize you want to fully work for yourself as a business.
Oh, absolutely.
I love that. Good for
That's
you.
what I need. That's what I want at this point in my life. And remote work school, it was so encouraging in making me realize that I can do that. I can do anything I want. So you just have to go about it gradually. There's no rushing into this, at least not for me. That's not the way that it would work best for me. I like to go about things gradually and try and review, the steps that need to be taken so that I know I'll be a success at it later on.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you started early while you had employment and then started taking all the steps to weave this in. I think that's very smart.
It's not that much I'm a little bit of a risk taker, but not that much of a risk taker.
Yeah.
So be a little careful.
Yeah, you didn't pull the ripcord like I did. And so, and you're building your own website, which, by the way, wow, I'm impressed because I have built a website and I will never do that again. So what is your web address? Can you tell us? Or is it live yet?
It is live. It's copyeditoria.com.
Oh, wow. That's lovely. I love that name.
It's www.copyeditoria.com.
I love that. That's so great. And so you say you're going to announce that very soon, that you're open for business. Yes?
Yes. To all my social media friends and family. Of course, my family knows I'm working on it, but that's about it.
Yeah.
I've just created my first business Twitter account. I never had a Twitter account before. So I created that's where my business account will be, since the publishing world and the editing world is really big on Twitter. So
yeah. Okay.
I'll be there.
Love that. I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited for you. And do you have, other than this business, had you ever started your own thing before? Or is this the first time?
Never.
Really?
No, never.
Wow.
In my entire life, I always thought I would never want to be an entrepreneur. I would never want to work for myself because I would never want to have to think about the taxes and how do you do that, but I guess I've changed. Now I'm ready.
When you want something bad enough, you figure it out, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I love it. With some support. I mean, you've done, you had the spark, you had the determination, and then you found the right resources to help you get to your destination. I love that.
And thank you. And it's there are resources out there, and remote work school is a big one. It covers everything that you can think about, and even the how to talk to your current employer about transitioning to remote work, possibly. That's even a thought that's come along. So
yeah, you haven't had that conversation with your current employer yet, have you? Or are you?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Not yet.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, I love what you're doing. You've got all the right things going for you. I can't wait to see what happens in your business, and I'm totally going to keep up with you and can't wait to hear it. And trust me, I'm sure I've got more editing jobs. So,
awesome.
I know. I really do need help. So you'll probably be hearing about, from me about that as well. But in the meantime, I'm going to
bring it on. I'm ready.
Yeah, I know you are. Awesome. Well, thank you, Penny, so much for joining me today. And again, tell me one more time, tell me your website address.
Copyeditoria.com.
Lovely. Thank you, Penny.
Thank you.
I hope that you enjoyed these 3 interviews as much as I did. I always love talking to people and hearing their stories, and I get so inspired. I get reinvigorated to help people in this remote work or remote business journey. Now, I asked you at the beginning if you could spot some of the similarities in these folks. Now, there are some obvious ones and ones I don't even like to talk about, like age, but I'm just going to put it out there, right? These are not people just getting jobs. These are not folks that are, knew their way through social media. These are folks starting later in life, literally starting over, reinventing themselves in this entirely new world. So they are starting later in life with reinventing themselves remotely. Some other similarities are that they really just have open minds. They're all into learning new things. They are open to learning from different people and in different ways. And I think that having a learning mindset is really important as you transition into a remote future. And the other thing I think that they all had, or some had more than others, was at first maybe they were a little nervous. They might have been intimidated, or they felt like maybe they couldn't do it, but then they just stuck with it, and they figured out that they were more talented and more skilled than they realized, and they figured out how to just keep moving through the journey. And I love that. That's probably why I get so inspired. So again, I hope you enjoyed these interviews. Now remember, the cart is now open for the 2 programs inside of Remote Work School. Remote Work 101 is the core program if you're just getting started and you're trying to figure out this whole remote future. It's a great place to start if you're newer, or you definitely know you want to work for somebody else in a traditional remote job, but remotely. Now, the Remote Reinvention Business Program is an all-in coaching program. It's 6 weeks long. You get access to me. I'm coaching you the entire time. It's a very specific type of methodology to get you up and running quickly. So take a look at those 2 programs, choose the best option for you, because on August 4th, these programs will not be available. Well, Remote Work 101 will be, but the sale ends. And I will actually be closing the window for remote business, because I really only want to work with a small group of people. So the seats are limited. And so once that cart closes, I don't know when I will open up that program again. Either way, there's a great program in there for you. Click the link below. Thank you so much again for watching. Take care, and I'm wishing you all the best in your